Okay, so we're going to create a Windows Forms application in C#. Now this is part of a project and it's coming straight out of the textbook. So it's on page 635. If you're using a digital text, you can enter the page number and it'll take you right to that page. 634 is actually where it starts. And they want us to create a Windows Forms application. Since we're using Visual C#, we'll go ahead and put focus on the type that we're going to create. We'll give it a name, many buttons, and then we'll go ahead and click OK. So it's going to build our solution for us. And as I've said before, the solution is more than just one file. It's a combination of a few files, and we can see them over here on the right. So there's a folder that's created. It's our solution folder, and in that folder are all of these sub files. Now, what they want us to do is they want us to, according to them, open up something they gave us. Well, rather than opening up something they gave us, if we look back to our previous previous Visual Studio's solution, example from, I think it was chapter 3, where we created a WinForm there, we're just going to go ahead and rather than using what they gave us, we're going to go ahead and create our own. And to create our own, you see up here on the left, it says Form 1. Well, the one they have says many buttons. So we're going to change that to say many buttons. So we come over to that form object, and that is the form itself. And it says text form 1 here. We want to change that text to be many buttons. And then we click away, and now we see that we've changed that. The form as a whole is pretty much the way it will end up being, with the exception that we don't have our buttons on there yet. So let's go ahead and create some buttons. Now, we did it before. Put focus on our toolbox on the left, put focus on the button, click, drag it over. Come down, that first one, I'll call it, the text that'll be on there will be red. And I'll go to the name of it. I'll call it BTN Red. Now I'll go get another one, drag it over, and I'll call that one BTN White. And the text that we'll put on there will be white. Click away. Get a third one, and this one will be blue for the text and BTN blue for the name. So we've got one more button. We'll drop this one. This one will be BTN Select. And the text that's going to be on it will be my favorite color. And we have to resize that button a little bit to accept all of the text. And let's resize the form just a little bit. And that's about what we have in the image, figure 13-26. There's 4 buttons that have been created. The form has a name. It's Form 1. The form has text on it. And what they want us to do is to go play around with the tab index of these buttons. So let's go look at what we've got going on. So we're going to go to the properties of the red button. And let's look and see what the tab index is on it. Okay. And the tab index is 0 because that was the first one we created. And if we come over to white, has a tab index of 1. BTN blue, 2. BTN select is 3. So it starts at 0, 1, 2, 3. We can change the index around to be something other than what it currently is. And they want us to go change the blue button to be a tab index of 0. And then they have it change it back again. So if we want to go play with that, we can just go down there and change that index to be whatever we want it to be, and it'll swap it, and then we go back and reset them. Or I shouldn't say reset, we reassign those values. Now, we're going to create some functionality, some events, and associate them with these buttons. So there's the red button, the white button, and the blue button. So each one of those, we're going to change the back color on it if the button is clicked. Now, there's 2 ways we can go about getting to the event. One, or the click event, I should say. So if we want to focus on the click event, all we would do is just double click that object, and that will automatically create the default click event. Now there's another way we can go about it, and is come over here in the properties, and that little lightning bolt, we click events there. And then there's the click event. And we can pick whatever we want associated with that event. So let's go ahead and double click and have it create the code for us. So it's creating a method, and that method is going to have the name of the object and the type of event. So it created this by default for us. Now, what do we want to have happen? Well, we want to change the back color of this object being the button. So we're going to say this dot, now pick back color. The assignment operator is the equal sign. I'm going to grab the color, and which color do we want? I want to change it to red. And then end the statement. So if I click on that object, it'll turn it red. Let's go back to design view and do the same thing copy the code. Efficient, not lazy. For white, instead of red, give that one white. Go back, blue. So there's the three objects that I've created. Now if I want to go see what this looks like when it's running, let's start it up. There it is. If I click red, got the background for this object being the form itself. Okay, let's go ahead and close that, and we'll put focus on the selection. Now, the selection, what I want you to do here is we're going to go about it a different way. Instead of going through double clicking, what I want you to do is come over, we've got focus on that button, put focus on the events, and then click the drop down from this menu. So we've got some events that exist already. Let's go ahead and associate clicking this with a method that already exists. So pick your favorite out of those three. So let's say my favorite is blue. And what's going to happen is when somebody clicks my favorite color, it will invoke or call the method that is the click event method for blue. So if I run this, let's make it red. My favorite color's blue. Make it white. My favorite color. See how we did that? We just associated another event or another button's event with this button. Now, when I say another button's event, it's not necessarily that button's event. It is an event that has been tied to that button, much like we just tied the event for our selection to the select BTN select. So when we double clicked, essentially what happened was we said we want to have a click event created. Now the click event's the method and it's being associated with that object. So we have the, here it is. We have the object that we've created, that button red, BTN red, and when somebody clicks on it, it invokes this method. Now, we don't see that linkage here. That linkage takes place elsewhere. When we come over to the form, if I click on, put focus on the red button, we can see that there's a click event associated with that method. Now, am I limited to that method? No, I can pick any of the other methods if I wanted to. All it means is when we double clicked that object, essentially what it did was it created that linkage and built a default event method for us. And it named it BTN red underscore click so that we know what type of event it is and what it was intended to be associated with. It doesn't mean that's the only thing it can be associated with. We'll keep that in mind. We run it. Red, white, blue, my favorite. Make sure that my favorite works, and it does. And then we can just close it down. That's the extent of what they want out of that little project in handling events. So we created the event, we associated a method with that event, and then we can, once that method has been created, we can associate it with anything else we want. Okay. So, well, I'll see you in another one soon.